Hi everyone, how are we today? Just doing our shadow work readings today, okay? So looking deep within and seeing what's going on for the full moon. As always, I do the shadow work readings on the full moon, a really good time for introspection so that by the time the new moon comes around that you're ready for that manifestation energy, all right? So get the work out of the way during the full moon, and then come the new moon, you can start to manifest the things that you desire into your life. Okay, now this is the March the 3rd, the full moon in Virgo. This is actually a blood moon, a total lunar eclipse as well. Very strong themes of release and purification this full moon, okay? So focusing on the things that you've been avoiding, especially in your daily routines. And it, for example, like your bad habits and things that you've sort of let slide with your daily routines, things that require more order or structure in your life, refining and simplifying, separating the essentials from what no longer fits for you, clearing the clutter. So especially the calendar, clear your calendar as well, clearing out those commitments that aren't serving your highest good there. A bit of a potential wake-up call for some of us this time around, guiding you to realign and focus on your health and well-being as well. So that sometimes can be a little bit concerning during these full moons in Virgo, especially with Pisces season as well. It can actually realign us and to have a bit of a wake-up call when it comes to issues around health and the way that we take care of ourselves, nourishment, those sorts of things. Virgo is actually ruled by Mercury, which is actually in retrograde at the moment as well. So it is a bit of a potent full moon, and it will be, like I said, once again, for some of us, it will be a bit of a wake-up call, especially when it does come to health, well-being, bad habits, the spots in your life where you need to, simplify, restructure, let go and release and purify within yourself here. So definitely need to be patient with yourself during this full moon and make small, steady changes first, rather than sort of anything big and drastic. All right. But today I am going to be using the Magic of Letting Go Oracle cards. Okay, since it's about letting go and purification, we'll see what needs to be let go of, as well as the Red Hand lenormand there as well. Now, make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the videos. I will be running a competition very, very soon as well. So definitely make sure you've got, like the videos, leave comments. They really do help the algorithms. I do really, really appreciate that. Okay. Today, being that it is a full moon in the sign of Virgo, we will be starting with Virgo and moving our way back around, but timestamps will be in the description box, so you're more than welcome to jump ahead to your placement. Your moon placement is also, a good one to be checking during the full moon readings as well. And this particular one, you may want to check your Mercury placement as well, being that it is sort of a very heavy Mercury energy. There might be some stuff showing up in the Mercury sign, like Mercury placements for some of you there as well. Okay, but getting into it, like I said, starting off today with our Virgos. Okay, Virgo. What does Virgo need to look at for their shadow work this month? Virgo, shadow work messages for our Virgos, please. Virgo. Okay, Virgo. We are seeing your inner critic coming through nice and strong. See the mind explosion there in this picture. Replacing the negative self-talk with positive affirmations, challenging your negativity. All right, so finding a lot of self-talk going on, a lot of clouded judgment going on at the moment for you here, Virgo, where it's creating even more confusion and anxiety just because of the way that you're talking to yourself within your own headspace, the way that you're following your your brain rather than your heart is coming through a little bit here as well, that you're listening to that little voice in the back of your head instead of listening to where your heart is trying to take you. That inner critic, that the voice is, I'm hearing that song. I can't remember what song it is, but it's You're Still the Voice Inside My Head. Oh, it's a Blink-182 song. You're still the voice inside my head. And so for some of you, you're actually hearing like that little inner voice. It's someone from your past who was a bit of a critic, a bit of a hater, that would say mean things to you, and you hear them saying those things to you on repeat in the back of your mind, and you're really needing to address that this month and release that, and combat that negativity with positivity and positive affirmations, and focusing on how we talk to ourselves. Okay, Virgo, shadow work messages for our Virgos. Shadow work messages for Virgo. Starting off with the letter. Okay, so definitely the way that we express and communicate with ourselves. All right. We want to end that. We have the coffin coming through next. So, we need to, there needs to be an ending so that we can have a fresh new beginning, a death and then a rebirth with that coffin energy, a transformation in the way that we express ourselves, the way that we communicate to ourselves. Okay, so for quite a lot of you, that inner critic probably, says a lot of these things out loud. You may sort of be in that habit of saying things to people about, just little things, like, oh, I'm so dumb. You're talking to someone and then you make a mistake or something and you go, oh, I'm so dumb. Even just little things like that. It is something that needs to change here. You need to put an end to the way that you're expressing negativity and have a rebirth in the positive energy there. We do see the cat coming through here as well, which it kind of shows us that this is the way that it's kind of like viewing yourself through the eyes of a stranger with that cat energy, and realizing the way that you're expressing yourself and the way that you're portraying yourself when, for example, it's coming through like, when you meet strangers, when you meet somebody for the first time, they don't understand that that's your negative self-critic or whatever, or, even if they do, that's their first impression of you, Virgos. So it's kind of like needing to see yourself through the eyes of a stranger and understand that not only are you creating this impression and you communicating this impression of Virgo is only about negativity, they only see the bad things, but also to see yourself through their eyes and see the positive things about yourself that other people may easily recognize that you're not, giving yourself credit for or anything like that, Virgos. So definitely, addressing that inner critic this month for you, Virgo. All right, but that's what we're seeing for you. More than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Libra. Okay, Libra. Messages for Libra's shadow work this month, please. What does Libra need to know in regards to shadow work, please? Realistic goals, Libra. Progress is often more sustainable than perfection. Reevaluate when necessary. All right, so putting this being very idealistic with yourself and giving yourself this thing where everything has to be exactly perfect and you're not allowing yourself any wiggle room here, Libra. Needing to set yourself some more realistic goals. It's sometimes it's fine to still have that perfection as an end result goal, but you kind of need to set some steps before you get to that. All right, that things aren't always going to be perfect the very first time is what's coming through here, Libra. That, for a lot of you are needing to, backpedal a little bit with the goals that we're setting ourselves, especially when we're, first moving into something here, that we can't just expect that everything is going to be perfect from the get-go. We're going to be able to do that amazingly, that we want to learn a new skill and bang, it's perfect. That's not realistic at all, Libra. So you're really needing to kind of check yourself a little bit this month, and like I said, set steps before the perfection. All right, so making sure that we're allowing ourselves stages before we are trying to achieve perfection as such. All right, that there's a lot of steps that lead to that. It's not just a wham bam perfect thank you first time every time. All right, Libra, messages for Libra with shadow work this month. What's the shadow work messages for Libra? Interesting here, we are seeing the moon followed by the sun. Okay, Libra. So, we do see, a little bit of emotional sensitivity when happiness isn't achieved straight away. All right, that this is why you're, you try so hard to do everything perfectly the first time, kind of thing. But then you do get a little bit emotionally sensitive when it's not perfect the first time, and you're very hard on yourself. That you need to sort of understand that they work in tandem. Your intuition needs to be, you need to, sometimes the way that the messages come through, Libra, it's just, I'm just trying to grab it properly. It's because the moon does talk about intuition as well, and then the sun does talk about things, coming out into the light. Whereas, as we know, the moon is in the darkness. All right, so it's kind of like you needing to allow things, the natural flow, the natural process, that you need to actually use your intuition in tandem with, the perfection, the ideal goal, the daylight, the sunlight. Oh, it's coming through in a weird way where it's really hard to explain this message. Sorry, Libra. It's because there is a lot of hidden energy with the moon. Like I said, it's in the darkness, but then we see the light coming out into the light. But we also need to see that natural flow, that nighttime turns into day, and it's not perfect every time. It's not a perfect sunset every single time. Sometimes there's clouds covering up that sunrise and the sunsets, that sometimes it's not perfect just in its own self. Like this full moon, we've got a lunar eclipse. We've got a blood moon. So it's not that perfect big round white moon that we're used to seeing. It may actually be visually different. Sometimes we see the full moon and it's quite small in the sky. Other times it's like that super moon and it's huge and beautiful and perfect. But all of those are part of the natural flow and ebb, of life. And so there's something here about, the celestial progression of the natural progression and the pull and the natural flow and the natural highs and lows and the natural night and day, that sometimes it's night and sometimes it's day. It can't be day all the time. It can't be light all the time. But, that light will definitely come back around to vanquish that darkness, just like the darkness will come back around to, give us an escape from the heat and of the sun, that things can't always be perfect and things can't always be happy. Like our ideal outcome, because this is about happiness as well here with the sun, and it's like emotionally you just want to be happy all the time, and perfection to you is 24/7 happiness, but that does not fit the natural flow. All right, because you can imagine that if it was sun all day every day, all night every night was the blaring sun, things wouldn't grow properly. the world would be too hot. You know, we wouldn't be given that nighttime opportunity to cool down. Think about all the nocturnal animals that would no longer, you know, survive. Think about the things on this earth that rely on that day-night cycle to survive. You know, like if it was daytime all the time, all the plants would burn. That would be too much sun. They need the natural progression. They need the rain sometimes as well. You know, so you're kind of trying to live in the light 24/7, but this is trying to remind you that no, you know, it's a perfect combination of day and night, darkness and light, that yin and yang. We can't be just happy all the time. We do need to have deeper emotions, because that's where our intuition and a deeper understanding of life comes from. All right. So I know this is a very it's coming through in a really weird way here, Libra. But we do also see the clover. Luck is on your side with all this, all right? That, you know, that it's time to start taking a bit of a risk and taking a bit of a chance to do things even if they're not going to be perfect. To take a chance to just try, even if you know that you can't perfect that first go every go. You know, that it's time to just jump in the deep end and give it a go. You know, there's something that's been coming up a lot in readings for me, has been the phrase, practice makes perfect. All right. It's that natural ebb and flow. It's jumping in the deep end and giving it a go, even if you might not be happy with the result. That you're willing to give it a go anyway. Because with that, I am feeling that for some of you, because of this, you know, this realistic goals card as well, that if you're not, you know, if you're not taking on a task that you know you're going to get to that perfect result immediately, sometimes you're not taking on that task. Sometimes you're not giving it a go because you're like, I can't be perfect at that, so I'm not even going to try. And this is kind of saying, well, no, you need to try. You need to jump in the deep end and take a chance to at least try. All right, Libra. So that's what we're seeing for you today. You are more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Definitely subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Scorpios. Okay, Scorpio, shadow work messages for our Scorpios. What does Scorpio need to know in regards to shadow work this month, please? I'm getting drawn to the name of this deck, the magic of letting go, Scorpios. So let go of blame. Own your actions and choices to be empowered. Take accountability. All right, that this is a hard energy sometimes, Scorpio, because, you know, it's not saying that other people or yourself are to blame. It's, you know, taking personal responsibility for your actions and your choices does not mean that somebody else was not to blame. Does not mean that you were not the victim or whatever. All right. It just means that you are empowering yourself and taking full responsibility of yourself and your place in this world. And, you know, the even those choices that you made on the smallest scale that affected the outcome of a situation, that maybe nothing would have been different if you had have made a different choice, but you're still willing to take personal responsibility. You're still willing to stand tall and strong and own it, kind of thing. All right, that sometimes I am picking up here for some of you, Scorpio, too, that the need to say sorry, whether it be to somebody else or to yourself, is coming through here. Because, and there is a couple of you where you have blamed somebody and not taken any responsibility for the role that you played in that. All right, it was easier to just blame them completely and put it all on them. So sorry to call you out a little bit here, Scorpio, but I just pass the messages on. But it's obviously up to you to decide as to how and where in your life that would fit. And sometimes we find the messages during the shadow work readings, you're more inclined to resonate with your moon sign or whatever than your sun sign. So take that on board. You're more than welcome to check other placements if that's not fitting for you. But for some of you though, this is exactly what this full moon is about. Because, in that intro there, I said that this is the chance to focus on the things that you've been avoiding, even when it's hard, that sometimes you do need to purify and focus on the things that you've been avoiding. And sometimes the truth is, and self-responsibility is one of those things that we tend to avoid because it's hard. And it makes us face our own truth. And, sometimes it is easier to blame others for our own choices and whatnot. I'm also picking up here too that for some of you, it's like, I am getting this weird message about, it's a very specific one here because it's coming through as someone blaming, I'm getting parents, blaming your parents for the way that you are now because of the way that they were towards you when you were a child or whatever, because I'm picking up on someone here who has been through trauma as a child and they're blaming their parents for the way that they are now. But you're an adult, Scorpio. The way that you are now, yes, your parents did that. They were to blame for that when you were a child, but you are responsible for your adult self and the way that you choose to utilize that trauma. And as an adult and as a human, if you're going to sit and just constantly blame, yes, they definitely, like, I feel like in this particular situation, they were to blame. They were to blame, but you're to blame for who you are now and for not letting yourself become a different version of yourself in spite of that. Does that kind of make sense? Like I'm just picking up on that specific message there as well. So that, yes, they were to blame for what they put you through, but you're to blame for yourself now. That now that you're a full-grown adult, it's your responsibility, your choice to be the way that you are now. And if you're still blaming other people for the way that you are, that just shows us that you're not taking personal responsibility for anything from, adulthood onwards. That you have the opportunity to change and not allow that to affect the way that you adult. Not allow that to affect the way that you have relationships in the future as an adult, as yourself. You're not the victim. You can be somebody who survived that, yes. But are you going to constantly just, throw your whole life away blaming others for the position that you're in and never actually changing that position? Sorry to put you on the spot, Scorpio, but that was coming through strong. Scorpio, shadow work messages for our Scorpios, please. And, sometimes when things trigger us, there's a reason, because it means something on a deeper level. For a lot of you, it's got to do with the way we relationship, okay? And the relationships that, blaming others for the way that relationships have ended and things like that. Because, we do see the cross coming through here first with the coffin. Once again, I'm getting another random specific message that someone here, you're blaming someone for their own death. Once again, it could be valid, but it's you that chooses how to deal with that death, okay? But we see here, just in more general terms, because I'm getting some very, very specific messages for, specific people here. So if that's you, there's your message. But just in more general terms, we see, the burden on your shoulders, the cross that you bear, the weight that you carry through the world, the responsibilities, all right, that it's time for that to come to an end, because, you've been putting that weight, that burden on others' shoulders. Let go of the blame. For some of you here, you have been putting all that accountability on, other people, something outside of yourself, that this is my cross to bear. This is my cross to bear. Once again, I'm getting that reference to, carrying the sins of the father kind of coming through in that sense as well. But it's time for that to come to an end. We need to transform that energy and transform those burdens, by empowering ourselves and taking personal responsibility for our, even if we're not taking responsibility for past actions and choices, we're taking responsibility for our present and future choices and actions. All right. We're doing things in a brand new way. The coffin is a death and a rebirth. All right. So we're needing to, be reborn basically here, just totally start ourselves over with the way that we're carrying these things on our shoulders. All right. So if you're carrying the weight of your childhood, for example, on your shoulders here, and you're blaming your parents for that, that needs to come to an end. And you need to start carrying the weight and the responsibility of, being reborn into a new version of yourself, and taking responsibility for your future choices and actions. In spite of that, have a little bit more faith in yourself, being able to transition this energy, to transform this energy, especially when it comes to relationships, but also the patterns and the cycles that you find yourself living. All right, because, for those of you where, I'm going to just keep using that same example of the burdens from childhood, blaming the parents kind of thing. You're carrying that into other relationships, and you're seeing the same things play out in relationships, in totally different relationships. The way that your parents treated you, that has then, led you to attract certain types of people into your life, and sort of replay that whole experience on a loop in a totally different situation. So you need to start taking responsibility for that, and transforming that cycle that you found yourself stuck in, that loop that you found yourself stuck in, and start attracting different things into your life by taking that responsibility for your own choices and actions, and choosing. And I keep feeling this energy here of in spite of everything that they did to you, or everything that has happened to you, in spite of that, showing the world that in spite of that, I can be this. In spite of all this bad stuff, I can be better than that. So that's kind of how that's all coming through for you, Scorpio. Sorry if that was a little bit confronting. But you, like I said, you're more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius. Shadow work messages for our Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Whoa, okay, that one. Flying it across the room for me there, Sagittarius. Stuck on results. You see the figure here blowing the little wish flower, yeah? Is that what the dandelion, right? That's what they are, right? Dandelion seeds. We call them wish flowers. I call them wish flowers. Focus on the journey and trust the process itself. Embrace divine timing, Sagittarius. So we're seeing a little bit more of a, I want to say like a spiritual message, an esoteric kind of message, rather than a nitty-gritty life kind of message coming through for you here. But this is about, the way that you're focusing on your wishes, your goals, because like I said, the wish flower, you're making this wish, but then you're stuck on the results. You're kind of like, this is what I'm wishing for. It's got to look like this. It's got to look like this. Some of you may have strong, was it Libra energy? You may, if you find yourself, as someone with a Libra Mercury or Moon, you may want to check the Mercury placement, like the Mercury reading as well, because it was kind of a similar message. But, this is about trusting the process rather than focusing so much on this is what my wish is, this is what I need to get, this, that wish, that goal. Just sitting back a little bit and taking the ride, enjoying the ride, stopping to smell the flowers instead of just waiting for that perfect rose, stopping to smell the others as they're blooming, instead of waiting on that one specific rose that you're waiting on. Because it's totally random here. It's telling me a message about, those disgusting flowers, right? The ones that only bloom once every however many years. And when they bloom, they they stink. They smell like rotting, apparently. Like, I wouldn't know. I've never smelt one, but apparently they smell like rotting. Any of you who've seen, was it the original Dennis the Menace? You know what I'm talking about, right? It was in that movie. But it's like this flower that only blooms once every, I think it's something crazy too, like every 20 years or something. And then when it does finally bloom, it's like, it smells absolutely disgusting. But people line up for yonks, to see this. And they're so stuck on that final result. I need to see this flower bloom. I need to see this flower bloom. And they're lining up for hours waiting to see this one flower. And so they're so stuck on the result of seeing this one flower that they forget to actually stop and look around them and get to know the people in the line and see all the other flowers on the way over to the display, that they're so stuck on this one thing that, that's 20 years of their life that they've wasted on this one flower blooming, that's 20 years of flowers blooming every single season that they've missed out on. Something about that, all right? So time to just, slow down and enjoy the process, all right? And just trust that things will happen when they're supposed to. So if it's only happening once every 20 years, well, there's nothing you can do today that's going to rush that process, right? Sagittarius. I nearly called you Libra then too, so definitely a lot of you are linking up with that Libra reading. Sagittarius. Shadow work messages for Sagittarius, please. Interesting. So we have the rider coming through first, all right? So this is about just getting up on that horse and going. It's not about sitting around and waiting. It's about just moving forward and trust the process, enjoy focusing on the journey. Like for example, this is the rider. We see a motorbike in this one. So, we're not worrying about, going from A to B and what B is going to look like. Where's B? Where, when are we there? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? No, we're just we're chilling on this motorbike. We're enjoying the feeling of the engine under our legs, and we're enjoying the wind in our hair. We're enjoying, the sights along the way, enjoying the journey. All right. And we're moving towards, being a little bit softer with ourselves. We have the feminine and the cat coming through here as well. So, being a little bit softer with ourselves. I do feel as though this is a little bit of just a add-on kind of separate message here. Definitely being a little bit softer with ourselves and nurturing ourselves a little bit more because, like the cat energy here, it can be very cagey, right? And if you try to approach a cat and, they run away and they hide and you've got to allow them to come to you kind of thing, but you've got to be nurturing and soft and gentle with the cat, and then they'll, allow you to pet them. But, if you're the cat will just run away and you won't be able to pat that cat. So you're needing to be a little bit softer with yourself. Less aggressive is coming through specifically here, but more nurturing towards yourself, taking care of your physical health. But also, this is kind of, a side message about the way that you see yourself as well here, Sagittarius, that, you're needing to actually look at yourself and see the softer sides of yourself, or be a little bit softer to yourself, as though you're treating yourself the same way that you would treat, a stranger, hoping that they might become a friend. So when you think about when you get to know somebody for the very first time and you're like, oh, this person, yes, they're a stranger, but I need to make new friends. This person could be a really good friend. Approach yourself in that same manner is how it's coming through there. Okay, Sagittarius. So that's what we're seeing for you. You're more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel. We will move on over to our Capricorns. Okay, grab your timestamp. And Capricorn. Shadow work messages for our Capricorns, please. What does Capricorn need to know in regards to shadow work, please? Oh, banish doubt. See this? Tight rope. That's weird, Capricorn. I just started hearing a song, but I know it's for some reason, straight away, I know it's a song that I'm making up right now. It's like walking along a tightrope, trusting that I'm never going to fall. But there's something about the way it's coming through that I know that my brain is making that up right now, that song. It's not a real song, okay? But it's coming through in song form. Banish doubt. Don't let doubt define you. Action dispels your fear. Trust in your abilities. All right? So maybe I'm a Capricorn. I'm going to go write this song after I film. All right? Go write this song about tightrope walking. All right? But action dispels your fear. So just start moving. Just start taking one step at a time, Capricorn. That will help you not look down, all right? And don't let doubt define you. Don't let that, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. Needing to banish that thought, Capricorn, and trust yourself, trust in your abilities a little bit more here. Capricorn, shadow work messages for Capricorn, please. See, maybe I need to banish my doubt about ever being able to sing or be a songwriter. Maybe I have a new career lined up. I'm going to start writing songs. Although, not going to lie, Capricorn, I have actually had poetry published when I was younger. So maybe I am more of a songwriter than I give myself credit for. Capricorn, shadow work messages for Capricorn. Let me know in the comments if you know of any songs that do talk about walking a tightrope or tightrope walking. We have the fox energy coming through first, Capricorn. This is a very Capricorn kind of energy. Capricorn is one of the signs I associate with the fox regardless anyway, because this is doing what is necessary, just getting shit done, doing what I've got to do to make sure that I'm all good, to make sure that I will survive kind of thing, that trusting in my abilities. I know that I can play the game. I know that I can walk across that tightrope. I'm smart enough. I'm clever enough. I'm sneaky enough when I need to be as well. I get it done one way or another. I'm just going to start doing it. All right. Don't believe me. What's that? Don't believe me. Just watch. Getting a lot of music coming through for you, Capricorn. You're the first sign that's gotten so much music coming through. And just taking those sudden actions. We have the scythe there. So it's kind of like breaking free and cutting things out of our life when we know we need to. It's like I'm going to jump for it. I'm going to cut that rope because I know I'm going to be fine. I don't know how I'm going to be fine, but I'm going to be fine. There must be a trampoline underneath me or something. But here I don't need that rope anymore. I'm going to just cut that out of my way and make a jump for it. It's kind of like a leap of faith kind of changes that you're making here. You may be just very, very, very intelligently, wisely, I want to say, choosing to just cut it out. Just cut it out. Just stop it. Like, I'm picking up for some of you, it's like a certain thing that you do or like a bad habit or something like that. And you're just like, that's it. I'm cutting that out. And your cutoff game is pretty strong, Capricorn, especially when it comes to people that they're not serving my best interest. Bang, you're gone. See you later. That's really strong, but you need to do that a little bit more with yourself and your, the things that you're allowing into your life outside of people. Like bad habits and things like that. Like for some of you, this may be, choosing to go cold turkey off something. If you're like me and you're a smoker, or, maybe you're choosing to stop drinking. For some of you, it's the way that we have the birds here. For some of you, it's the way that you're engaging in conversations and communication, that maybe you're, cutting out a certain, it's kind of like a certain gossipy or drama or rumor kind of behavior. So that's kind of what it is for some of you, where you're, maybe telling too much as well. Because I'm getting, the birds here, it's a very chatty energy. It's a very conversationalist kind of energy. But I feel like for you, it's more like being a little bit more clever, cutting out, telling everyone everything kind of thing, or cutting out gossiping about something or bitching about someone, cutting out something a little bit. It does feel a little bit communicatively talking for the sake of talking, like chatty, that maybe it's not our business to be chatting about, kind of that stuff. Some of you, that's exactly what you're cutting out. You're just cutting that out and stopping that behavior. Just cold turkey once again. So I'm getting that as well. For some of you, you may cut a conversation short. You may just sort of be in a middle of a conversation with somebody and be like, do you know what? I don't think this is serving my best interest to continue this conversation. I'm cutting this out. Thank you for your time. I'm out. Because I'm picking up someone here. It's like an interview or something like that. Because we do have the fox can be a little bit businessy. It's kind of like, for someone here, it's like you're holding job interviews for a job opening that you've got in your company or something like that. And, you're sitting there in this interview and someone's behaving very erratically or something like that. And you're just like, you know what? I don't even need to see through the rest of this interview. I'm just going to cut it out right here and there and say, look, I don't think you're a good fit for this job. See you later. Bye. Cutting this conversation short. Bye. So for some of you, it could be things like that, because you're trusting your abilities to judge this character, and you're trusting that, this is not going to fit this is not going to fit for me. This is not going to fit for us. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. So that may be what's going on here for some of you with the shadow work stuff. You're just trusting yourself and knowing, look, there's no point giving them the extra 10 minutes to talk around in circles. It's not going to work. I'm just going to put an end to it right here, right now, and say goodbye. So letting go of those sorts of things that aren't serving you pretty well. Okay, Capricorn, so relatively easy one on you. I'm not going to lie, I've been calling out some of the other signs pretty harshly, so you've actually gotten it easy, not going to lie. But we will make sure you do subscribe to the channel, check out your other placements, and we will move on over to Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius, shadow work messages for Aquarius. What does Aquarius need to know for their shadow work this month, please? Give up control, Aquarius. Surrender to the natural flow of life and have faith. Allow serendipity. Okay, so just allowing things to fall into place as they will, if you will. Okay, Aquarius, the natural flow of life, and just having a little bit more faith that things will happen the way that they're supposed to, regardless of how much you are trying to control the situation. A lot of the time, as we know, the more control, the less things actually happen the way that you need them to. So, it's time to release a little bit of that control this month. Okay, Aquarius, shadow work messages for Aquarius. Starting off with the snake here, Aquarius. Very interesting energy to start us off there. We do have the ship and then the clouds coming through after that. So we do see this snake energy. It's like a deception, an illusion that you're creating around this is how everything has to be, around, it's kind of like, it's, the phrase, looking through the rose-tinted glasses. This is kind of the whatever glasses are opposite to the rose-tinted ones, where you're seeing everything through this lens of, it's got to be a specific way. It has to look like this. It has to be like this. Instead of seeing things as better than they are, you're seeing things as, you're only seeing things as, the negative of, like, you're only able to see the bad parts of the situation and how it's not perfect, rather than seeing the ways that it is perfect. You're focusing on the ways that it's not perfect, and it's kind of creating a bit of an illusion about the reality of what's going on for you here, because it keeps telling me this rose tinted glasses thing, but it's like it's not quite the rose tinted, right? It's just, you've got this tint over things at the moment where you're only seeing them in a certain way that's not the ideal way of what you want them to be, kind of thing. And it's created this, a mask over the actual reality of the situation, because, you're you're only seeing everything as the worst of what is the reality, and you're not seeing the best of the reality, and therefore seeing the balanced view, which is the real view, right? Does that make sense? It's talking here about, focusing a little bit more on the journey, and just moving forward with things, and just trusting the flow once again. Trusting the ebbs and flows, knowing that, when you're traveling across the sea, sometimes you're going to hit big waves, sometimes you're going to hit calm patches. And whereas, with this snake energy, you're only seeing the waves, the storms on the ocean, the giant waves. You're not seeing that, sometimes we do have smooth sailing. You're not paying any attention to the smooth sailing. You're only paying attention to the big things, and you're trying to control those so much that you're not allowing yourself to enjoy the calm patches. And the clouds there shows us that this is to do with the way that you're thinking about things, that you're, allowing negative self-thought to overcrowd yourself here, that you're, up in your head a little bit more about the way that you want things to look. And you're only seeing, the potential negatives of that situation, which is actually creating more confusion, less clarity for you over the reality once again. So you're seeing things, in a very clouded way, where you're only seeing the negative side of things. You're not seeing, the potential for positive. You're not seeing the smooth moments. You're not seeing, that this is all just part of the natural flow, that things sometimes do need to go negative in order to go back to smooth. Does that kind of make sense? That, life is like this, and you're focusing on, the low points. So you're not seeing the high points, and you're not seeing the balance in between the two. So it's time to sort of give up control over trying to think that life has to be up here all the time, and allow it to sort of, be in that moderate stage as well as the low point stage. Sometimes you need those low points to actually really, see the height of the high points, if that kind of makes sense. It feels like like I'm hoping that makes sense, Aquarius, because it's feeling a little bit like it came out in a really weird way. But that's what we're seeing for you. You are more than welcome to check out your other placements. Definitely subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Pisces. Okay, Pisces, shadow work messages for Pisces. What does Pisces need to know for their shadow work this month? Pisces, no judgment. Have empathy and seek to understand before judging. Strive for kindness. Okay, so this isn't going to be for every single Pisces. I'm straight away picking up here that there are a couple of Pisces where this maybe won't resonate, and you do need to maybe check your moon placement rather than your sun. Have empathy and seek to understand before judging. For some of you too, though, you need to actually take this on board a little bit, in the sense of you may tell yourself it doesn't resonate, but the truth is that it should, because you're saying, I'm not judgmental, I'm always kind, I always strive for kindness, but you're not actually being 100% honest with yourself about the ways in which you are a little bit judgmental, because it kind of goes both ways too, because it's like, I'm just seeing this example here of like, it's coming through in a way that's very muchly going against the grain of normal. All right. So, normal is, I judge people for being too crazy, right? But someone here, you're actually so adept at being crazy that you're judging people for being too normal. Does that kind of makes sense? It's kind of like flipping the script a little bit here, that the way that you are doing things, Pisces, is so out of the ordinary, out of normal, outside of normal, that you are actually judging people for being normal. And you're kind of, because I'm picking up here on a Pisces who's like, it's giving me a very specific message about a Pisces who is, not working in a traditional sense. And you're kind of turning around to someone and saying, oh, well, why would you work 9 to 5? And why would you go to work every day just for the money? And then, you feel like you never got time for anything. Well, why would you do that? And that's you being a little bit judgmental here, Pisces, because, once again, that's the normal societal thing, is to go 9 to 5, work every day, worry about the money, right? But because you don't understand that, because you're not materialistic in that way, because you don't care about the money, and your person, like, it's kind of like your personal beliefs are saying to you, I put, my passion before I put materialistic pursuit. But then you're kind of being a little bit judgmental about people who do put materialistic pursuit ahead of passion. And, just because it's not something that you understand, or it's not something that suits you, doesn't necessarily mean that it is wrong for that person. All right. And that you are actually needing to be aware of the fact that you are being a little bit judgmental here, because it's kind of in a very inverse kind of a way that this is coming through. So it's kind of, not what I would expect to see, because normally when we're judging people, it would be the other way around, right? Judging someone for not having a job and saying, oh, they're a bum or whatever. But I'm actually getting the opposite of that coming through. That for a lot of you, this is, being a little bit judgmental about why do they do things like, why do they only care about money, or why are they so focused on work, and why do they waste their whole life working? I'm kind of getting those messages coming through, which is interesting. Pisces, shadow work messages for Pisces. It's we all have our own life, and we all have our own path in life, and our own choices to make, and our own priorities and morals. And just because somebody else's are different to yours doesn't mean that they're necessarily wrong. Shadow work messages for Pisces. They're wrong for you, yeah, but they're not wrong for them, all right? So we have the birds coming through first. So we do see a little bit of gossipy energy there. Gossipy drama, kind of being a little bit too chatty, Pisces, being a little bit too conversational about your version of events, your opinion of events, your personal beliefs, and in what you think is right and wrong, all right? Because that's where the judgment's coming through. You may not even realize that you're coming across as judgmental. Sometimes it's a kindness to say nothing. And for some of you too, it's like to do with an actual phone call, and to be wise about how much information you're sharing, especially when it comes to your personal opinions, because you may not even realize that it's coming across as judgmental, when you just think that you're just talking and telling your side of things and your opinions, but it is actually coming across a little bit judgmental, or a little bit like gossipy, like kind of thing. So just be wary of that. We do have the cat and the sun coming through as well, Pisces. Now, the cat is a pairing card to the dog, which is all about friendship. So, once again, it's coming through as, because it's kind of like the conversations that you're having. You think you're saying things because you're a good friend. You think you're saying things because, this is my version of loyalty. This is my version of friendship and support, is to tell you, what I think and what I would do. And, I'm just trying to help my friend, but you're not actually realizing that you may be speaking a little bit out of turn here, Pisces. For some of you, you are revealing somebody else's secrets a little bit too much. The sun does talk here about, things coming to light. Maybe somebody's just not ready to hear it, Pisces. And that's why it is coming across as a little bit judgmental, because maybe they're just not ready to hear it. So you're actually, rather than being that dog and saying, oh, I'm being loyal to you by being chatty and telling you everything that I think and my opinion, maybe I actually need to, step back and just observe for a little bit longer before I actually say too much. That's the way we find happiness here, is a happy medium kind of thing, is, maybe I do actually need to act as though, rather than me coming through trying to be a friend and say all the things I would say to a friend where I can say absolutely anything, maybe I need to come from the perspective of like, well, what would a stranger think that doesn't know us? What would a stranger think? What would a stranger say in that situation? So you maybe just needing to like step back a little bit outside of yourself, Pisces, and be a little bit more objective and taking into opinion here, a greater viewpoint rather than just your own opinions and whatnot, because they are coming a little bit judgmental towards others at the moment. And I know I do want to say I know, Pisces, that you're not intending this as well, but you maybe do need to just step back a little bit and realize that it is coming across that way, because like, you don't seem to realize that, to be honest. You seem to be just being yourself, and just being honest and being, you think you're just being a good friend by being honest. But sometimes honesty is just something that someone's not ready to hear. And sometimes it does come across as judgmental. So sometimes the greatest kindness is to actually step back a little bit and hold back a little bit, rather than hold truth, nothing but the truth, because that can be a little bit confronting sometimes. And it's just coming through in this confronting way of coming across as a little bit judgmental. Just because it doesn't suit you doesn't mean it doesn't suit somebody else. Okay, Pisces, it's like different people, different strokes for different folks. Is that what the saying is? That's what I've got for you today, Pisces. You are more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to Aries. Aries. Okay, Aries. Shadow work messages for our Aries today. What does Aries need to know for their shadow work this month, please? Shadow work messages for our Aries. Ooh, no judgment, Aries. We did just see this same card for Pisces. So if you do have Pisces in your energy, especially your moon sign, your Mercury as well, you may want to double check the Pisces reading as well, especially those of you who are close to the cusp of Pisces and Aries as well. So, we're getting close to that time now. Okay, so only a few more weeks and we will be hitting a couple of birthdays there for some of you, Aries. This card says, no judgment. Have empathy and seek to understand before judging. Strive for kindness. Now, for you, Aries, I actually do feel as though a little bit of the judgment it's coming through a little bit differently for you here, Aries, in the sense that this is like judging yourself and not being kind enough to yourself. And and it's kind of like, I'm getting this kind of mirroring thing where it's kind of like you're seeing judgment of you in others when it's not necessarily there. Okay, you're presuming that, oh, they think I'm this, they think I'm like that. You're putting words in people's mouth, kind of thing. You're presuming that someone is making a judgment on your character, but it's actually coming from somewhere within yourself where you're judging yourself as that. Just as a random example here, just to kind of explain what I mean. It's like you're spending time with someone, or you're seeing someone, out and about, and you're like, oh, they think I'm stupid. And you're telling yourself, they think that I'm stupid, and they don't actually think that you're stupid, Aries. It's something within you that you have this fear within you that you're worried that you're being perceived as being stupid. Maybe you're embarrassed about saying something silly, or maybe you tripped or something, and you feel like it's actually coming from within you. The call's coming from within inside the house, Aries. It's you're placing judgment in somebody else that's not actually there. That you're saying, oh, they think that I'm stupid, but you don't actually know what they think. They might think that you're amazing, and your fear that of something here is changing, like discoloring the perception is coming through there. Aries, shadow work messages for Aries, please. What does Aries need to know in regards to shadow work? So it's like you're judging yourself harsher than others actually are. You're presuming that they are judging you just as harshly as you judge yourself, Aries. Especially it's like the way that someone says something or has said something to you. We do see the anchor coming through first here, Aries. So, you know, because this is kind of showing us that this is something that it's reliable, dependable within you yourself. That, okay, well, if so-and-so says this, that means they think I'm stupid. You know, if someone says this to me, that means that they must think I'm dumb. Because that's what you would say to someone that you thought was dumb. But they are not you. You're kind of just stuck on this idea that everyone thinks that I'm dumb, because deep down here, I think that I'm dumb. So it's like you get stuck on this idea that someone thinks that I'm dumb or someone thinks that I'm stupid. And obviously, you know, interchange that with whatever that's going on here, because, you know, for some of you, it's not necessarily got anything to do about intelligence or dumb, stupid, or whatever. I'm just using that as an example. But you kind of get stuck on this idea, and you do get kind of stuck on something that they say. We have the birds there. Like it's something that someone says to you, or it's kind of like we have the key here as well. So for someone here, it's like maybe this person actually opened up and told you about something, or it's the way that they opened up and said something to you that is, and you just get stuck on the way that they said it, or you get stuck on a particular phrase, or you get stuck on that particular statement, and that kind of makes you believe a certain thing. But you're believing from your perspective, all right? You're not actually understanding that this is their perspective that they've opened up and given you, and that what you are presuming is not what they meant, is kind of what's coming through here. You're the one that has come to the judgment that is what this means. That if someone says this, it means that I'm stupid. That is a judgment that you have placed. But for them, when they say that thing, maybe it doesn't mean that you're stupid at all. Maybe it means that, you know, maybe it means something completely different for them. Maybe it's a personal joke that they didn't share the whole thing with you, Aries. You know, that there's more to it, I feel, for a lot of you, and you are the one that's putting the judgment on what that means. Does that kind of make sense, that you're presuming something here about what someone else has said or someone else is going to say towards you, and it's you're just getting very stuck on this. So for some of you, it's like you have been stuck on something, like someone said something to me and I'm stuck on it. Like, so a lot of you are going to know exactly what that is, that you're sort of stuck on this thing that someone said to you. So it's kind of actually time to, you know, open up to the possibility that they meant something completely different. Open up other doorways of what possibly other things could they have meant by saying that. You know what I mean? Like, someone says to you, Aries, did you know the sky is blue? And Aries is sitting there going, I'm stuck on this. They told me that the sky is blue. What, do they think that I'm stupid because I don't know that the sky is blue? And you're just so stuck on that they think I'm stupid, that you don't realize that they were just high, or they were just talking about something like a reference from a movie or something, you know, and you were like, you only saw your perspective, your judgment on what that meant. And you're like, oh, they think I don't know what color the sky is. They think I'm stupid. But they're thinking about, like, they didn't even think anything of it because they were like, oh, yeah, that was a cool movie where they referenced, did you know that the sky is blue? They thought they were being cool, and they didn't know that you hadn't seen that movie. So, it's just a miscommunication, Aries. And you seem to be a little bit stuck on it here. So it's really all about understanding that you need to sometimes open up and understand that there's more options of what things could have meant, and trying to see other perspectives and other options here. If you want a successful, well, maybe they meant this. Maybe I'll Google it. Maybe I'll put into Google, what does it mean if someone says this? And Google gives you and I know, because sometimes I put things like that into Google and say, what did someone mean when they said this? And Google usually, it won't come out with just one thing. There's usually multiple things that something can mean, because sometimes, language barriers can get in the way, and, different, I might say something as an Australian that as an American, they might not have any clue what I'm talking about. And they may miscommunicate exactly what I'm saying because the context is taken out because it's a regional difference. It's something that Aussies know what we're talking about when we say that, like not happy, Jan. Like Aussies know that that's just a reference to something, and it's like just a funny thing that we say. We say it a lot, really. Not happy, Jan. But Americans are going to be like, who's Jan? What are you not happy about? So context clues and miscommunication, Aries, and for a lot of you, it's something that you seem to be just a little bit stuck on too. And, you've probably been overthinking it a little bit. So you probably know exactly what that thing is that has been said that you're a bit confused about. Maybe you need to actually look at other things that could have been about, to help give you a little bit more of an idea, and sort of take that judgment off yourself, because I kind of am picking up the energy. They didn't think you were stupid at all, Aries. It wasn't that at all. Your that's your judgment on yourself, to be honest. So maybe just needing to remember that the lens we put ourselves through is a little bit different to what other people sometimes intend. All right, Aries. So that's what we're seeing for you. You are more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Definitely subscribe to the channel. And we will move on over to Taurus. Okay, Taurus. Shadow work messages for Taurus. What does Taurus need to know for their shadow work this month? Have patience. Taurus, normally you're pretty patient. What's going on? Rewards are sweeter when earned through persistence. Good things take time. So for your shadow work this month, you really need to embrace your Taurus nature. Okay, Taurus, that stubborn Taurus energy, that, it doesn't matter how long this takes, I'm going to get what I want out of this situation. Good things take time. You're trying to rush something at the moment, Taurus. What's going on here? It's necessary to have patience. Taurus, shadow work messages for Taurus. I feel like for a lot of you too, it's kind of like slow and steady wins the race. There's something here about not getting to where you want to be. I'm just going back to my notes on the intro here, because there was something here about slow and steady. Be patient with yourself and make small, steady changes first. All right, so something about being patient with yourself and understanding that sometimes changes can't be made overnight. Now, what's that? It's that hair. I'm getting a lot of advertisement messages today. That hair advertisement, is it herbal essences or something? It's like, it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. We see the ship coming through first, which is followed by the stars. All right, so it's kind of like you're trying to get to your goals quick. The ship is usually pretty quick, and you're here like, I got to get there. I got to get to this star. I got to get on board and get going. I got to get going. I got to get these wishes met. I got to get to my goals. I got to have all my dreams come true right here, right now. I got to have everything I want right here, right now. But it's about needing, if you want those wishes to be the best version of those, if you want that goal to be perfection and to be the biggest star in the sky, you need to allow it time to grow, into that full manifestation of what you're wanting here. Good things take time. Sometimes things take time to really come together and be the exact thing that you deserve. That because I am getting an example here of someone trying to rush into a relationship, and it's like, do you want to rush into a relationship and then only for it to, a year from now have problems because somebody didn't do their work and they weren't grown enough to actually, cherish you the way that you deserve? Or are you willing to wait a few extra months to allow someone to do their self-healing, to do their own shadow work, so that when you meet them, they're already the healed version of themselves, so that you don't have in a year's time this big bump in the road where all of a sudden things aren't working anymore? Or do you want the happily ever after? If you want that, the fullness, the full extent of the wish, sometimes you need to wait for it to grow into that first. All right. I do feel for a lot of you, this has got something to do with having patience for somebody to do some shadow work of their own. That there's something that you're waiting on, but you actually need somebody else to do their ish first. All right. So it's like, doing a school project, for example, and it's a group project, and you can't do your part of the project until somebody else does their part of the project. Somebody else is taking, notes on, how many red cars went past today, and you can't go through those results and say, oh, there was more red cars on a Tuesday than on Wednesdays, if the person hasn't completed all the results and sat there and logged all the days yet. You can't bring all that together and come up with the bigger result, the overview result, without them doing their part first. So I feel like for a lot of you, you're waiting for someone else to do their part first, and then things can happen for you here. And this is just part of the journey. We have the crossroads there as well, that you do need to make a bit of a conscious decision here to be a little bit more patient, to choose to wait for that goal in its fullness, rather than just take what you can get here and now. Because if you're rushing into it, you're only going to get half of the thing. It's kind of like a nest egg or something like that, that if someone says to you, Taurus, will you take $1 million today? Or if you wait 6 months, you'll get $10 million. What do you choose? Have patience for the $10 million, Taurus. It's kind of what it's saying. You need to consciously choose, I'm going to wait so that this comes through best, ideal, absolute wish, desire, instead of just part of what I want. I want $10 million, but I may as well just settle for $1 million because I can get it today. No, that's not what we're doing here, Taurus. All right, we need to have a little bit of patience. Patience for yourself as well, that, Stop trying to rush yourself to be so perfect, all right? Perfect takes time. It's like, once again, I'm getting a message here about makeup, all right? That, you know, I can't have my full makeup face done if I'm not patiently doing each step. If I skip a whole bunch of steps and try to rush it, all of a sudden my makeup's like clown. All right, so something along those lines, that if you want to take that girl out on a date and you want her looking her absolute best, that you might have to wait an extra 10 minutes for her to finish the makeup. All right, Taurus, but that's what we're seeing for you. You're more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move over to Gemini. Okay. Gemini, what's going on for our Geminis? What does Gemini need to know in regards to their shadow work this month? Shadow work messages for our Geminis. Have patience, Gemini. I just shuffled the ish out of that deck and you got the same card that Taurus just had as well. So some of you may be on the cusp. You may have a moon or a Mercury placement in Taurus as well. More than welcome to check the Taurus section as well. Rewards are sweeter when earned through persistence. Good things take time. Okay, Gemini. I'm hearing persistence. Diligence, persistence, perseverance. They're all coming through. That's the word that's highlighted here for you. Persistence. That don't give up. Don't give up yet, Gemini. That you need to have patience because this will work out. You just need to be patient and persistent. All right. Let's have a look here. Gemini. Shadow work messages for Gemini, please. I'm just wanting to clarify that first card, Gemini. Just clarify that first card for Gemini, please. The contrary message. Oh, not really, but the first card we have is the Scythe. All right, so the Scythe tells us that we kind of need to break free from something, that we need to cut something out. But, you know, that's why I'm like, it feels a little bit contrary to this message here about having patience and being persistent. Rewards are sweeter when earned through persistence. Good things take time. Whereas this is a very fast, sudden, impulsive, cut it out kind of energy. Break free in order to make the changes. But I feel like it's kind of like the interesting thing is this is not you taking action. I don't feel like this is you kind of taking action. It's kind of like, be patient. It's going to get cut out of your life. Or it's kind of like, it's not even that something's going to get cut out of your life. It's going to be like a break free, like in a sudden way, but it's like, it's coming through in a really bizarre way here, but it's telling me to reread part of the intro here for you, Gemini, that potential wake-up call, that's the phrase, a wake-up call comes out of nowhere. The break free, the sudden change, a sudden wake-up call. All right, so for some of you, this does have to do with your health. I do have that clarified by the tree here. So some of you, because the intro bit that I have here, potential wake-up calls, guiding us to realign and focus on our health, our well-being, self-care, and nourishment. All right? That is that card. Self-care, health, well-being, and nourishment. Growth. So this is like a wake-up call for you happening, Gemini. But so it's kind of like, this is what's coming if, this is what I mean. It feels contrary, but it's actually not, because this actually goes further down the timeline. All right, that we need to be patient now while we're going through this wake-up call, right? We're having this wake-up call, something going on with our health, our well-being, the way that we look after ourselves. All right? A bit of a wake-up call that I'm not looking after myself the way that I should be. All right? And it's waking me up to the fact that I need to make some changes with the way that I take care of myself, the way that I take care of my physical body, my mental health, all those sorts of things. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone. But we see the feminine coming through next. So this is all about nurturing ourselves and actually stopping and taking care of ourselves. So this is telling us what's happening right here, right now, or very, very soon this month for you with the shadow work. This wake-up call, something occurring this month that is kind of making you, oh, shit, I got to sort this out. I really got to get on top of that. I really got to start taking better care of this. Something along those lines. And then we start taking care of that thing in order to, and this is us nurturing ourselves and having patience with ourselves, knowing I'll be persistent to try to take better care of myself. Yes, sometimes I'll forget and I'll still eat that chocolate, or, whatever that thing is. Maybe you're having this wake-up call of like, oh, I've put on a bit of extra weight. This is not, as an example, okay, guys? So I've got to cut out the chocolate. All right, the chocolate's not good for me. So, I'm going to take better care of myself. Oh, I'm going to, maybe have patience with myself. I'm be persistent that, oh, I slipped up and I had some chocolate, but you know what? I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. Keep trying to look after myself and nurture myself here. Be gentle with myself so I can get to the stars where the wishes come true. The goal is realized. All right. This is where the rewards are sweeter when earned. All right. So it sounds a bit contrary, but, just be aware that, whatever's going on for you health-wise or self-care-wise, because for some of you it may not have anything to do with your physical body. It may just be something to do with the way that you take care of yourself, getting rid of bad habits, looking up, creating new habits, all those sorts of things, mental health things like that, all coming through there. Having patience with yourself and being diligent and persistent about taking care of yourself in order to, reach your ultimate results there, the goals that you're looking for yourself. All right. So have patience with the fact that, sometimes we've got to go down and have that breaking point or that weak moment, that wake up call in order to get back up to the top. All right. So that's what we've got coming through for you here, Gemini. You are more than welcome to check out your other placements, of course. Subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to Cancer. Okay. Cancer, shadow work messages for Cancer. What does Cancer need to know in regards to shadow work this month? Okay, Cancer. The inner critic coming through for you here. Okay, so I believe Virgo got this same energy. So if you do have strong Virgo, you may want to check that portion as well. Replace negative self-talk with positive affirmations. Challenge the negativity All right, so been talking down to ourselves a little bit lately. We do see the kind of mind explosion in this card. So it's got to do with, you know, that little voice in the back of your head, the way that you think about yourself, you know, is what that inner critic is coming from for a lot of you here, Cancer, and needing to sort of really temper that and approach things with less negativity, because the more that you're pondering, you know, the negative outcomes of situations, you know, or thinking, you know, worst case scenario type stuff, the more that you're actually clouding your judgment here and confusing yourself and creating more anxiety for yourself as well. Cancer, shadow work messages for Cancer. What does Cancer need to know in regard to shadow work, please? We see the bear coming through first, Cancer. All right, so needing to sort of stand up to yourself a little bit, you know, find that inner power of yours and stand in it. Stand tall and strong and firm, knowing, you know, I am what I am, good and bad, but seeing the good as well as the bad, not just the bad stuff. You know, needing to create some boundaries with yourself in regard to the way that you are talking to yourself, and you know, that little voice in the back of your head is talking to yourself. So, you know, very much like the challenged negativity that we're seeing on that card, this is where we're standing up to ourselves and we're actually challenging that negativity with positivity, and you know, creating a strong boundary with ourselves about, okay, well, if I'm going to say that bad thing about myself, I need to maybe think about a good thing about myself as well. All right, we do also see the astral card coming through with the key here as well, Cancer. So this is opening up your third eye a little bit more. For some of you, there is some work necessary around your third eye chakra. So, you know, you might want to look into that at the moment, opening up into, you know, the astral. For some of you here, Cancer, you're having some dreams at the moment, or you're dreaming about something in particular or someone in particular, and you're needing to open up to that a little bit more. There's just something about, you know, there's actually a lot of opportunities for you to find success in your life and within your own, you know, sense of self, through your third eye chakra, through the astral plane, through your dreams, through your intuition. You know, that there's something spiritual that you're needing to open yourself up to understanding or developing a little bit more. So that's definitely something that you can look at for your shadow work this month as well, Cancer, is, you know, doing third eye chakra type stuff. You know, the one that always jumps to mind with third eye stuff is eating purple foods. All right, so a lot of people don't even really consciously think about that, but you know, eggplant, plums, you know, red grapes, purple colored foods, blueberries even can sort of have a bit of a good positive energy with that, and it really actually helps you access that third eye chakra just a little bit more, open up that third eye, see beyond sight. Okay, seeing beyond a little bit more, and it's seeing, and especially here with that inner critic, it's seeing beyond your own self-doubt and seeing beyond what you're telling yourself, you know, the story that you tell yourself about yourself. You're seeing beyond that, and you're trusting your intuition to open you up to you know, something, a version of yourself that is beyond the self-limiting talk. Okay, that you can be much greater than you tell yourself you can. Yeah, so that's how that's all coming through there. I was just sort of, is it adding anything? Nope, that's the message. Okay, so that's what we're seeing for you today. You're more than welcome to check out your other placements, your moon sign, your Mercury sign. Definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will move on over to our Leos. Okay. Last but not least today, Leo. Okay, Leo. What's the messages Leo needs to hear for their shadow work this month? Shadow work messages for Leo. Hearing that shine bright like a diamond. Self-sabotage. coming through for you here. Be kind to yourself and recognize your worth. Foster self-compassion. So every time that you are being mean to yourself, Leo, or that you're doubting yourself, or you're not recognizing your own worth this month, Leo, I keep hearing that same song. Sing it to yourself. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. I'm trying to, like, all the lyrics, like the whole song is playing in my head here. So it's like, maybe sit down and listen to that song. Find yourself in that song this month, that you are really shining bright like a diamond, and needing to kind of remind yourself of that, Leo, and, give yourself a little bit of gentleness this month. This is kind of being nicer to yourself, being softer with yourself this month. Shadow work messages for our Leos. What does Leo need to know in regard to shadow work, please? Jack of all, master of none. Is that the phrase? We see the octopus coming through here first, that, you can take on whatever you put your mind to. That you, like the octopus, you can do, so many different things. It's that jack of all but master, that jack of all trades kind of energy, where you're actually really good at so many different things, that you can master so many different things, that you can have your little tentacles in all different places, because you've got so many of them, that you really are a master of fitting wherever you need to fit, Leo, and seeing some of these sides of yourself as a positive thing, that you can, put on that mask to fit whatever situation you need to, that you can hide yourself when you need to, like the octopus. If things get a bit rough and you're not liking where you're at, you can squirt your ink and move somewhere else. All right, you can fit like an octopus. You can fit through any little gap. If you've ever seen any of those videos of octopuses fitting into really small little spaces, that you really, there's a lot of camouflage energy here. There's a lot of blending into your surroundings when you need to, coming through here, because we do also have the hourglass as well as the snake, and the snake can blend into, camouflage themselves in. They can fit, hide in plain sight kind of thing. So it's something to do with your worth here, that allowing yourself time as well, allowing yourself time to, create these illusions around yourself, to, not deceive yourself about how amazing you are, how much you can fit into all different situations, especially like, I'm kind of getting, for some of you, maybe the need to really adapt and fit into different situations and blend in to, some sort of new environment at the moment here, and allowing yourself the time and the compassion and the space to do so, that to stop telling yourself that you can't do all these things, because you can, that you have the ability to put on whatever mask is necessary for the situation. It's kind of like, okay, well, I'm kind of just seeing you like wearing all these different little hats here, Leo. Like, it's time to, put on my mum or dad hat. It's time to put on my child hat, where I'm someone's child. It's time to put on my, conductor hat, where I'm bossing people around. It's time to put on my my star hat, where I'm the star of the show, kind of thing. It's time to put on my a different, all these different faces and things that you can put on here, and it's it's allowing yourself time and space, like, because it's coming through this. What's it from? I'm trying to remember what it's. I feel like it's a Mighty Boosh thing. Time and space. Something about time and space. That it's like, you're exactly where you need to be. Even if you are having to camouflage a little bit to be there, even if you're having to put on a bit of a mask to fit in, you're exactly where you need to be, and it's exactly the right time for you to be that person. And it's time for you to actually stop hiding from the truth of how adaptable you are, and how amazing you are. It's like you can play all these different roles. You really are the star of the show at the moment, Leo, that you can play all these different roles. And if that's a way for you to, adapt to those situations, that it's a role that you're playing, Leo, you guys are, definitely the star of the show. So you maybe find it easier to think about it in that kind of a way, that, okay, today I'm playing the role of, the mum that's got it all under control. Today I'm playing the role of, a great chef. Today I'm playing the role of, a great little worker. But tomorrow I'm playing the role of the boss, that kind of thing, that you're able to engage and take on any challenge that's put in front of you, and put that on as kind of like a mask of, like, I can be whatever I need to be for whatever situation I'm put in here. It's adaptability. It's you're at the right place in your life here. Like, I'm just getting that, Leo, this full moon is just really wanting you to stop holding yourself back and stop sabotaging yourself and telling yourself that you can't do it, because you can. You can do anything that you put your mind to. It's kind of like, to be honest, I'm getting that you really are getting it easy this month compared to a lot of the other signs. I have been a little bit harsh on some of the signs this month, but you are more than welcome to check out those other placements and get some extra perspectives there as well. But, when it comes to shadow work, it's just compassion for yourself, knowing that you can do it all, basically. All right, and recognizing your own worth, and having a little bit of compassion for yourself and treating yourself better. Okay, so that's what we're seeing for you. You're more than welcome to check other placements, like I said. Definitely subscribe to the channel. Keep an eye out on the channel. I have just uploaded, last week, all the March overview readings, so check those out if you haven't already. And I will see you all again soon.